Dlatego!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ferret 64 with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. This is, of course, the one-stop shop for all your video game news, occurrences, first impressions, and so much more. I think we got a nice episode for you today. We got plenty to talk about in the what I've been playing section. But let's start off with what I have picked up this past week, because there's also a lot there as well. All right, first up, for the what I've picked up section, we have the the Nintendo World Championship NES edition, and I got the deluxe edition myself. I believe this was the only edition that was physical. But the nice thing about this edition is that, one, it comes with a bunch of cool stuff, and two, it wasn't really that pricey. So I said, why not? So this is actually two pieces. So we have the stand for the golden NES cartridge that has the name of the game on it. And here's the golden NES cartridge. I thought this was pretty cool. I mean, obviously it doesn't really work, but I thought it was kind of cool. It's got the logo, or like a symbol for each of the games on the back. So I'll talk about it more, about the game more in the next section. But I thought that was kind of cool. I know some people are like, oh, I'm so annoyed with all these special editions coming with freaking cartridges or useless cartridges. I mean, it's kind of cool. And it also includes a sleeve that you would see for a NES cartridge as well. Let's go ahead and pull out the game, if I can. Yeah, there we go. So the game, looks exactly the same as the collector's edition box, just a little bit less stuff on the back there. The game is in my console, so it's not in there, but there's pins that you earn in the game, and that's one pin from each game, so that's kind of cool. Also in the box, let's see, what's this one? So it also came with a bunch of like these little cards. Each one kind of has a different game on it from the collection here. On the front is just the what they look like. On the back, they have the actual the characters and something from the game. I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, am I gonna do anything with these? Probably not, but at least it was kind of cool. I have to fix something here. I messed up a little bit opening this. And finally, inside the box here, we have probably I guess it's one of the nicest things in here. Even though the gold NES cartridge is pretty cool, but they gave you a couple pins from the game, like actual enamel pins. So I thought that was pretty cool too. They're pretty nice quality. Once again, I don't know, will I ever use these? I guess if I go to PAX again, I can put them on my lanyard, or at least one of them on the lanyard. But I think that this was a pretty cool purchase. I think that it's definitely worth the price. And I will talk about the game in the next section. All right, if you don't know, there was, this stack is absolutely massive. There was the Amazon Prime Day. There was a Woot overstock sale. And it was Best Buy's Black Friday in July event. So I have a lot of games from that to show off. After today, the gaming buying will be a little bit lessened, obviously. So don't expect this section to be quite as large. This was just a very big week. And I did overspend a little bit. But to be fair, it was all some pretty good deals, which I'll talk about. But first up, let's talk about EA Sports College Football 25. Picked that up physically. I want to call it NCAA, but you know, they won't let you do that. The inside is pretty bland. The disc is in my console. I have Stellar Blade in there right now because I'm kind of switching between the two. The back is also not like too fun, but the front looks pretty good. The front looks pretty good. I do like that. Once again, I'll talk about this in the next section. We have we have one eBay purchase this week. That was Enemy Front. So the reason why I bought this edition is because it's the deluxe edition. It comes with the soundtrack, and it was only $5 on eBay. So I said, why not? I also don't really know how well this game would play on a modern PC, so I wanted to get the PS3 version of the game. The case is a little bit cracked, and unfortunately, I don't have a double disc version of a empty case, so I'll just have to live with it for now. But yeah, this one was more so like me. Like I've gone through a little bit of a phase here trying to rebuild my my library of games because I sold a lot when I was younger. So I'm trying to get back some of those games that that I had that aren't that pricey. So Enemy Front was an easy purchase, $5 plus shipping. Next up, I wanted to get this game physically because I love this series. It's Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin. This is the PSVR game that came out, and it also includes a code for the original Psychonauts, the like PS4, Xbox One version. And if you've never played this game, you essentially are you play you kind of like jump into a person's mind and you do puzzles in there as Raz. But I saw that this was physical on Amazon. I apologize, on Amazon, and it was on sale for like once again $5. So I said, why not? It's still wrapped. It's a little bit torn there, but that's fine. I will definitely be opening this sooner rather than later because I have not played the VR game. And of course, I have been waiting to purchase this for quite some time, and I really loved this game when it came out. I believe it was number 2 that year. That's Psychonauts 2. I was waiting to purchase this one. There's a sticker on the front here, but it's nothing really. But I've been waiting to buy this for quite some time. It was on sale for like $10 on Amazon for the Prime Day sales. I love this game. I think it's really good. I think it's a little bit better than the original game, but the original game does have a lot of charm to it, of course. It's got like a kind of like a holographic kind of cover to it, which is kind of cool too. So definitely wanted to pick this up. And I've been waiting to pick it up because I already played it on Xbox Game Pass, but I want to, of course, buy it physically. Next up is the Best Buy Black Friday and July games. So I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga collection for the PS5. I've been waiting to pick this one up as well. I thought it was a bit, I mean, obviously it's a bit pricey when you just buy it brand new. But the price went down to about $20, which I said, that's probably going to be the best they can get. It's still sealed, so we can't really open and show you anything. But, yeah, I'm excited to try this out at least. I have these a little bit out of order. Then the other Best Buy Black Friday and July game was the PS4 version of Resident Evil 5. This is another one that I just was rebuilding the games that I had sold back in the day, and this is actually like one of, if not my favorite Resident Evil game. The co-op stuff is just so much fun, and I really enjoyed going through this. I got the platinum on this game like twice because I went through it twice with 2 separate friends, but I had a really good time with it. The disc is, of course, loose in the case. I hate it when that happens, so I'll try and not have to open that to fix it, but I'm not good at it. You gotta like really finesse it. Yeah. I can't, but yeah, Resident Evil 5 on the PS4, just an easy pickup for me. Like, I really enjoyed this game, and I was pretty sad when I looked at my collection. I was like, why don't I have Resident Evil 5 in here? Like, come on. All right, if you don't know what Woot is, it's like a Amazon subsidiary or whatever. They sell like the overstock games. So they had a huge sale like the day or so before Amazon Prime Day. So I got all 3 of these games for less than $20 each. Actually, I think there's only one game that was $20. The rest were $5 or $10. So the first one I got was South Park Snow Day. once again, I've been waiting to pick this one up because it didn't look that great in my opinion, but I'll pick it up for 20 bucks. I think that is a pretty fair price, asking price for this little roguelite kind of game. And it's got like some mixed reviews, of course, but I'll see for myself. I'll probably pop this in after the gaming schedule becomes a little bit less hectic because we got a lot to talk about this week. This was the $5 game, another loose one. The disc inside is loose, and I hate that so much. But I got JoJo's. What the fuck is it even called? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R. And you might be wondering, Yemmy, do you even like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? No, I've never seen a single episode of the anime. But this was $5. You got free shipping if you went over a certain price. And I said, okay, I might as well pick something up that's cheap because I don't want to have to pay an extra like $20 for free shipping. I just want to pay an extra $5. So there you go. I got the free shipping there with that. And then the other one here is called Gangs of Sherwood on the PS5. This was one that caught my eye a while ago. It's like a top-down brawler type game, and I forgot about it. 1 and 2, I thought that the asking price of like $40 for this game was a bit much in my opinion, but $10, not too bad. Of course, like I said, it was like an overstock kind of thing, so it's one of those. It was a good deal for a game that I'll probably just add to my backlog and play on stream or something like that. And I actually have I have one more eBay game. I bought a physical version of Abzu. I've actually been wanting to buy a physical version of Abzu for quite some time. This is like one of my favorite games of all time, right next to like the greats up there. I love the vibes. I love the ambiance. I really like the style. The only thing that kind of irked me was like walking on land, but that happens so rarely, But I felt like, yeah, I should get a physical version of this just in case, because I do have a digital version, but I wanted to get a physical version just in case something happens. You never know. And then here are 2 games that we played on stream that I have physical versions of. The first one, we played Star Wars Racer, but I have the combo pack for both Star Wars Racer and Republic Commando. Not really too much to see on the inside either, but I picked this up a while ago, and I believe it was sealed. I had to open it, so that was a pretty good purchase by me because I think it was only like $15 or something like that when I picked it up. Pretty good combo pack. 2 really good games. And then, and then we played Syndicate this past week. The only reason that I would ever say like, hey, that's a game, is I like the cover artwork for this one. I like the vibe of it. There is a code in here, but it's probably expired, and if you really want it, you can have it. So, yeah, I'll talk about Syndicate as well in the next section, but as for now, I think that the cover is pretty cool. I wish that the font was blue, but that's just me. And probably Callus, too. Alright, that's my stack. But there's still one more thing that I need to show off. I went ahead and got a Rift Master guitar, which, I guess I should have taken a cleaning cloth to it here because there's a lot of fingerprints on it. They did that like matte finish or whatever you want to call it, so like all your thumbprints and stuff show up on it. Hey, look, you can see me inside of the guitar. But I actually am really enjoying this guitar. It feels a lot like the Rock Band 2 or Rock Band 3 guitars, which is I think Rock Band 2 had like the best guitars in terms of Rock Band games. Guitar Hero controllers are very clicky, but these have a very soft push to them. Same thing with the strum bar. It's much more like Rock Band 4, where it's kind of muted, I guess you could say. And that did cause some issues back in the day with those Rock Band 4 guitars. Is they would lose their like softness, and then they would start over strumming or under strumming, like not strumming at all. So that is a bit of a concern for me with this, but hopefully they did it better this time around. There's also, of course, a whammy bar on it. And if you didn't know, and I didn't know this, there's actually a joystick on the back of the neck of the guitar, which is kind of cool, and it's also collapsible. You can collapse it as well. I've been using this with Clone Hero, and I should probably maybe clip this and put it on the channel as a separate thing. But the setup for Clone Hero was a bit weird. Essentially, I had to add Clone Hero as a game to my Steam account, and then I had to enable like the Steam, what's it called? Like the Steam controller mapping or something like that. And then I had to also download the Xbox mapping as well. And then everything started working except for the whammy bar. The whammy bar, and also you can't tilt the guitar to do star power in Clone Hero. It all works pretty well in the Fortnite Festival mode, which I have played like a song. Seems to work pretty good for that. But if you're playing on Clone Hero, you have to like press, you have to like wiggle the backward the joystick on the back here in order to do whammy, and then you also have to push up on it to do star power. So it's not too bad. I'm trying to, I guess, show. If you're on the lower part of the guitar, you can wiggle this around pretty easily. As you get up to the farther things, you do have to reach a little bit more. So I usually activate my star power when I'm using like the green and red and yellow buttons. Seems to work okay. But I am happy about the purchase. I think it works pretty well. I mean, I've been using a Guitar Hero Explorer guitar for quite some time, and it does have the little buttons on the bottom as well. But this has actually been a really nice upgrade. It's a little bit of a pain in the neck to set up here and there, but for the most part, I'm really enjoying how it feels, and I'm getting back into it. I haven't played Clone Hero in quite some time, so I gotta readjust my fingers, of course, but yeah, I've been having a good time with it. So if you're looking to check it out, it's not a bad purchase. It just takes a little bit of extra work for Clone Hero. And if you are planning on using it for Fortnite Festival, it just kind of works. There's a little USB dongle it comes with. You plug it into your computer, you sync it to that dongle, it's good to go. Xbox, kind of the same thing. You just kind of sync it to your Xbox, and it's good to go. But yeah, nothing else to say there. Pretty nice. So yeah, like I said, pretty big week, but there was a lot of those like crazy sales going on. Next week will definitely not be as crazy as this one, but you never know. You never know what'll happen. But I do know that I am planning on spending a little bit less money on games this next couple weeks. So if this section's shorter, or if you see stuff from my older stuff in my collection, that's why. Just because I overspent this week, especially with the Riftmaster guitar. So I will need to hold off for a little while, but that's understandable. I've also been thinking of doing like a monthly wrap up. I don't know if I'll do that, but I could just like cut all the segments with all the different games and just put it as a YouTube video. I was thinking of doing that, or maybe just going through all the games again, but we'll see. Well, let me know if that's something you would want to see, just like a monthly wrap up, or if you want to keep, I'll keep doing it weekly, of course, but if you want to see a monthly wrap up, let me know. Anyway, let's get into what I've been playing this past week. All right, first up on the agenda is NCAA Football 25. No, I'm sorry. EA Sports Football, College Football 25. I keep saying NCAA because that's what they were called in the past. But it is EA Sports College Football 25, which is a bit of a mouthful, let's be honest. And also, it's like, why do you need the EA Sports thing in there as well? I don't know. I think that calling it, college football 25 would have been fine, or just keeping it NCAA. But it's possible that did they change it from? I don't know. It doesn't matter. So the first thing I would like to say about the game is there's some misconceptions going around that the game is just a reskin of Madden. And sure, I haven't played Madden in like a year or two. The last one I played had I think it was Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady on the cover, maybe, or maybe it was the one after that that was the last one I played, because it was on Xbox Game Pass for a little while, or that EA thing, the EA service that's linked to Xbox Game Pass. Whatever that one was, I don't remember. I did not play the one with Josh Allen on it. I know that 100%. And I probably won't be playing the new one this year with Christian McCaffrey. I'm just not really into Madden anymore, especially after how NCAA feels. E- College Football 25 feels. But this is not just a reskin of Madden. There is so much more passion put into this one, I want to say. Like, you play a Madden game and it just kind of feels devoid of personality. And then you start playing this college football game, and right away it just kind of blasts you in the face with, like, hey, here's the team's entrances, and here's like the marching band playing, and there's like a crowd cheering and roaring, and there's a lot more energy to this one. And if they try and emulate some of that kind of feeling in Madden, then sure, maybe I'll try it out. But it definitely feels like they put so much more work into this one because they had a lot more expectations going into this one. Now, are they going to be releasing a college football game every year at this point? I don't know. It's possible that they will start doing a college football game every single year, but I think the problem with Madden what could be a problem with EA Sports football, college football, is it could start to stagnate. But the thing about college football is that it feels much faster. It's much more slippery, and that kind of is true for real life as it is for the game, where players a lot more elusive. The game runs a little bit faster in a lot of ways. There's a couple of different rules on the field as well. Like you only need to have 1 foot in bounds to for a catch to be called, and in the NFL you have to have 2 feet down. So the game plays a little bit more loosey goosey. Obviously these are younger players. Some of them, so the freshman players are like in their teens still. The senior players they've built up their reputations for this game, and it feels so good. Like even if I'm not the best EA Sports College Football 25 player out there, I can still have a lot of fun while playing. Even if I'm not doing so hot. I will say Madden has always kind of been like a hot and cold kind of thing for me with the simulation sports. And college football is kind of the same way, where it's like I'm hot and cold. Some games I'm like on, I'm on it, and I'm doing everything perfectly right, throwing the ball to the receivers at the right time, and running the ball when I should run the ball, and scrambling when I should scramble. Then there's some games where, like, the last game I played yesterday, I was playing as the Huskies versus like Iowa State or something like that, and I was just getting dismantled for some reason. Like I had 3 interceptions in a row, and my receivers weren't catching their balls, and I was like, oh my god, what is going on? So there can be those moments where you get cold, but even when the game, like, I was ice cold myself while playing the game, I was still having a good time because the game feels so much better than a Madden game. The player control is so much better. The fans in the stadium is so cool to see. The whole like gauge that shows how loud the audience is so cool, and it actually even affects the play on the field a little bit. The animations for the crowd are actually a lot better than any Madden game that's been in the past like 10 years. Like, it's crazy. They zoom in on some of the fans every so often, and even though they don't look the best, like, let's be honest, like they're not like highly detailed like the players on the field, but it's still cool to get like a close up of them, and they're cheering, or they're moving around. It's also a nice, like, not every person in the stadium has the color of the home team on. Sometimes they have the color of the opposing team, which is normal. Madden, it's like only the team that you're playing, that's the home team, gets the fans in the stadium. And even though they don't differentiate, like, fans who are for the other team sit down and the other ones stand up, they don't do that. But it's still cool to see a mix of those kind of like shirt colors in the stadium, rather than just having one type of shirt throughout the entire stadium. So the fan and the crowd stuff is really the stuff that I was really harping on for the Madden games for quite some time, because they just put the lowest amount of effort in there possible. They stand up and they cheer and they sit down. But in EA Sports, they stand up, they cheer, they're moving at different times, they have different animations. You zoom in on the fans, kind of like the older Madden games, where you used to be able to zoom in on like a group of fans, and like, if you're playing as Green Bay, they'll have like the cheese heads on, or if you're playing as the Raiders, they'll have like some of like those like old school football gear on, or if you're playing as I don't know, like the Steelers, like they'll have that hat with the iron girder going through it, and it's not really the same for this game. It's a little bit more basic in terms of that, but they'll it's still cool to zoom in on the crowd and see like some fans cheering and stuff like that. It's cool to see. Um, and each team has been meticulously researched so that like their celebrations and their like just like those things that they do when they get an interception or get a touchdown or whatever, it's all there. Their mascots as well. The Huskies, they actually have like a not like the best looking, but like a rendered dog in there, like a little husky dog in there, which is pretty cool. I really like that a lot. And for the bigger teams out there who have more fanfare for their celebrations and stuff, they do all that stuff too. Like there's a guy who comes out on a motorcycle for one of the teams. There's a mascot for or not a mascot. Yeah, I guess a mascot, but what's the guys in the costumes called? Yeah, they're mascots, right? Like the people in the costumes, they have like, if a team has one, they obviously render them in, and they look pretty good. Um, yeah, it's just kind of crazy. I don't think they have the mascot bowl, which is unfortunate, where you play as like a whole team of mascots. But I think that in terms of like putting love into this game, like they really did that. Like if there's like a certain team celebration, like for getting an interception, they put that in there. Like I was playing as the Buffaloes, and they when you get an interception, the player sits on like a golden throne, which is kind of cool. Or when the players are walking into the stadium, they hit like the good luck charm above the hallway. Cool stuff like that they put in for every single team that has a tradition. It's just really cool. And in terms of like the marching band, they made sure that they had like the official song of the school in the game as well. So when you get touchdown, the OSU song will play, and it's really cool. It's really cool. And the other thing too is like, sure, like the animations aren't like perfect, but you also see the band, like the marching band, in the audience as well. Like if you're thinking of college football, like the band is like half of college football as well. So there's the players and the game, and then there's also the band, the marching band. So it's cool that they put in so much time and so much effort into also making sure that the band and stuff are there and they're heard and they're constantly like playing when the game isn't going and stuff like that. It's just cool stuff like that. And another thing too that this game has that Madden doesn't is referees in on the field. Like there's I think at least 2 referees on the field at all times, even though of course there should be more, but that's the thing. There's actually referees on the field. And for Madden, they were like, "Oh, we can't do that. It's too difficult to program referees in this new end." Like, yeah, okay, you're just cheaping out because you want to. But yeah, the referees are actually on the field. They don't keep up with the game as well as I was hoping, but at least they're there, and like they give you a little bit more of that feel that you're actually playing in a college football game, right? It feels a little bit less arcadey. It feels a little bit more simulation by having those refs on the field to show you like, hey, yeah, we put the effort into this one. The character movements, like I said, it's a kind of slippery, a little bit elusive. I think that they really want to showcase like how much teams score in the NCAA. Essentially, a lot of scores for games will be just kind of like pretty bizarre things, like 60 to 50 or something like that. 60 to 55. Like there's some games that are very high scoring because college football is, once again, it's a very fast game. The players are young. They're speeding around the field. They're juking and diving and ducking. So it's cool that a lot of times when you're playing a team, you can be scoring big. They can be scoring big. It's cool. There's a lot of give and take there, of course. As for like modes in the game, of course, there's your quick play options, but there's also a road to glory, which is what I'm playing right now. And essentially, you take a player, whether it be quarterback, running back, wide receiver. I think there's also defensive edge as well. You can choose one of those 4, and you can pretty much go through their entire college career until they get drafted. And the better you play at your position, the more points you get. So right now, I'm playing as a running back. So if you get a long gain of yards, you get like plus 30 points. And if you shred a tackle, you get like plus 5 points. And if you do like a juke move or a spin, you also get like plus 5 or so. If you get a touchdown, you get like plus 50 or whatever. So it's pretty cool how they tally the scores, and it's an interesting way to play the game. I never really dived into these types of things in like Madden or anything before. It's actually pretty interesting. It's actually pretty cool. I do enjoy the vibe of it so far. And while when you're not in a game, you can practice, you can study, you can train, you can do all these different things as well to better your college career, I guess, as well, which is cool. I think that they did a great job with that. There's not like a bunch of fanfare. Like there's no long shot mode in this game. Like you're not like doing like that whole long shot career mode or whatever. It is a bit more basic in terms of like, okay, you're on your phone and you are talking to someone on the phone and you're giving answers, and that's pretty much it for like interactions with characters. They didn't like fully render and voice act and stuff like that, which I think is fine because long shot mode in Madden was kind of a laughing stock. It was kind of a joke at the end of the day. But at least here the cringe is kind of negated because they didn't actually try and do that much with it in terms of like giving us trailers and cut scenes and stuff like that. It didn't really do that. It's just kind of like it's very straightforward at sometimes, but I think it works pretty well, and I'm enjoying it. Another thing is called the Road to CFP, the College Football Playoffs. This is an online mode, and I did not know that. So I was like, oh, I'm going to try and take the Akron Zips to the playoffs. That was a terrible idea because you're actually going up against real opponents who are using the best teams in the game. And I got decimated on my first attempt because I was playing as like a 75 overall team, and they were playing as like a 93 overall team. So it wasn't exactly what I thought it was, but it might be a kind of cool thing to try and beat people online to make it to the playoffs. I think there's a trophy associated with it as well, and that's probably going to be the hardest one to do. The other mode is the minigame mode, which I thought was pretty good. I haven't played like a ton of the minigames, but if you know the old school minigames from Madden, with like pocket passing and rushing and stuff like that, it's kind of the same thing. It also is kind of like the training mode for the game as well, where you kind of learn how each position works and how to play with each position. Right now, I've really only done the quarterback stuff, so like there's a target hitting one, there's a range one as well. Yeah, it works pretty well. I think it's pretty good. It's it was pretty fun to do. um. Boy, other than that, of course, there's the Ultimate Team, which is, of course, what they're really pushing out there. I usually stay away from those types of things. It's just a money sink, and I'm not gonna waste my time with that. I'm not into those kind of things. And with college football, I'm not like as into it as regular NFL football. I don't really know the players right now, so it's one of those things where also it's like I'm not going to waste my time with Ultimate Team, one, because I don't really like the mode, and two, because I don't really know the players in college right now. But as I play this game, I'll probably start to pick up on some names, some big-time names, which is going to be good for conversations, I would say. Other than that, I really don't have anything else to say about NCAA right now. Yay, Sports Football 25, College Football 25 right now. It's been a great time. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's just oozing personality. It's oozing that feel that you want from a college football game. And to anyone who's saying it's just a reskin of Madden, they're wrong. I don't know how they can say that it's just a reskin of Madden. That it just boggles my mind that they claim that it's just a reskin of Madden. It's just so annoying to me. But don't listen to the haters. Check out the game yourself. If you want to wait for a sale, that's fine. I don't blame anyone for waiting for sales on games. They're pretty pricey nowadays. But I will say that this one, it was definitely worth the day one purchase for me personally. I've really been enjoying my time, even if I'm cold. I'm playing the game cold sometimes. I am enjoying the game. I've been enjoying the game, and I will happily play more of the game in the future. All right, next up, Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. So I showed off the collector's edition for the game in the last section. I thought it was pretty cool. So the game itself is actually very interesting. I've been playing a lot of it before NCAA came out, of course. You know what I'm talking about. College football came out. I was playing a lot of it. I got to like the harder versions of every game that they had a challenge for, and I was having a pretty good time. Essentially, what it is, it's a little bit of like it's like a small package in terms of like content, but it does a lot with that content. So you're doing all these little challenges, trying to speed run your way to do things. Like one of the first challenges you do is try and get the power up mushroom as fast as you can. And that's like on course 1-1 of Mario Bros, the original Mario Bros. So you jump over the Goomba, you jump into the question block, and you collect the mushroom that pops out, right? And it kind of just grows from there. Like, oh, here's a challenge for how fast can you collect all these coins in this underground section, or how fast can you kill all these enemies in Kid Icarus, or how fast can you go around this course in Excite Bike. It's stuff like that where you try and like improve your times as best you can. There's plenty of different grades that you can get, but you want to get the S tier or the A plus plus, and that's kind of the gist of it. And there's a bunch of different games that you do little challenges for. You got the original Donkey Kong arcade game, Mario Bros. 1, Mario Bros. 2. I think Super Mario World, right? So you have Super Mario World in there? Maybe? No, you don't. Oh, you have I'm sorry, you have the Lost Levels in there as well. Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. There's also Excite Bike, Ice Climbers, The Legend of Zelda 1 and 2, and then there's also Kid Icarus as well. And I might be missing one. Metroid's in there as well. So you do like these little challenges for each of them, and you try and get the best scores you can. And then when you get like an A or better, it gives you a little pin to put either on your profile or just kind of look at in the collectible section. You earn coins every time you play a mini game or whatever you want to call them. So you use those coins to either buy more challenges, or you can buy new avatars or whatever for your little character, your little profile. The other main mode for the game is like the versus mode, where you go up against other people's ghost times and you try and get better than all those people. There's 3 rounds, and you play against like 8 people. It's a pretty good mode. I mean, I played it a couple times, got won a couple times, lost a couple times. It's just, how it is. I think it's decent enough of a mode. There's 2 different versions of it. There's like an easier mode and a harder mode. I haven't played the harder mode yet, because I'm a little bit scared at how good these people probably are. But hey, I'll try it out eventually. I'm not gonna chicken out or anything like that. But that's, like I said, there's not much going on in terms of content in here. That's kind of the main gist of it. Of course, they have some cool stuff littered in there with like the lore, the history and stuff like that of the NES and all those games that you could play on it. The cool thing is when you boot it up, they ask you what your favorite NES game is, and they literally have every single NES game that was in the library ever. It's pretty cool. You can you can scroll through for days looking through all those different games. So that's pretty cool too. I thought that was a pretty cool thing, even though not all those games are in the compilation. It's cool that they have a list of all the games at least, so you could actually choose your real favorite game from that list. So. Right now, I'm very much enjoying my time with it. I don't know if it's going to have the longevity that a lot of other Switch games has, but I think it's pretty cool. I'm enjoying my time with it. I know a lot of other people are as well. And if you want to check it out, it's not too pricey, but maybe check it out on a sale, because there really isn't too much more than just like the speedrunning stuff. But it does that very well. It does the speedrunning stuff very well. And what more could you ask for this little package? So pretty cool. I'm enjoying my time with it. I also played and beat Flock, not Flock with an exclamation point from back in the day, but just Flock. This is a game where you kind of like charm and collect different species of flying creatures. They're not very similar to what we have here in the real world, but they're pretty fun little designed little dudes, if I should say so. But the main part of the game is just finding the different creatures and learning what they are and logging them in your little book. And there is quite a few of them to find. It's not as many as like a Pokemon game, but you do have to find a fair amount, and some of them are hidden pretty well. There are still some that I haven't found, even though I've been searching and searching and searching. And they do give you little hints here and there for where you could find them and what you need to do to find these different animals. But it still is very much up to you to have the patience to find and then log the different creatures. And of course, it starts off a bit easier with them kind of being out in the open and not running away from you, but it does get much more difficult when they start to camouflage themselves as like fruit and stuff, or they hide in like branches or in trees, and you gotta try and coax them out here and there, or you gotta try and be really stealthy and whatever. So it does get much more difficult as it goes on. So you get a little check mark for finding each animal, and then you also get a check mark for actually charming them. And what you do to charm them is you do this little mini game. It's kind of like a rhythm game almost. Well, not really. I guess essentially there's this little meter that is like a curved like little I don't know what you want to call it. It's like a curved like parentheses, I would say. And they go back and forth the closer you get and the farther you get from the animal. And there's a sweet spot that you need to aim for. So when you press A, your little bird that you fly around on sings the charming song, and then if you get it perfectly, you get a lot of meter built up on their little charm meter. If you do it poorly, they can either get a little bit of charm or they run away because they get spooked. So it's a neat little kind of mini game that you play. It's not super complicated or anything like that, but it's a pretty good time. I don't mind it at all. I thought it was pretty intuitive. The one thing that I don't really like about the game is there's this auto flying mechanic or I'm sorry, auto height calibration. So as you're flying on your little birdie, it'll sometimes go up and down. It will go up and down based on the terrain, and sometimes you want to stay more close to the ground. It won't really let you do that unless you just like stop, and it will kind of gradually float down. I feel like just having an up and down button would have been great, like A to go up, B to go down, but they didn't do that. It auto does it, and I feel like sometimes just it's a little bit annoying when you're trying to search for these animals and you're flying around and all of a sudden you fly, whoop, you're all the way up in the sky, and it's like, okay, come on now. Other than that, though, I think that the game is very, very fun. I really enjoyed my time with it. The music is beautiful. The world itself is very nice looking. And yeah, it's fun to try and find all of the little creatures. And of course, there's some legendary ones, quote unquote, that you can find as well. That's kind of how you finish the game, is you find all three of the legendary creatures in the world, and you add them to your flock. But there are, I mean, the legendary creatures, oddly enough, are not as difficult to find as the regular ones. So, it's a bit more challenging to find some of the regular creatures, which is kind of interesting. But in the end, I had a good time with it. I enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it because it is on Xbox Game Pass. So if you want to check it out anywhere, and you don't want to like pay full price for it, Xbox Game Pass is a good place to do that. I give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's not like super difficult or anything like that, but it's a pretty fun time. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, check it out if you wanna check that out. I thought it was pretty good. I also was playing Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. This is like a new third-person action game, kind of like a Souls game. It feels a little bit less Soulsy and a little bit more just kind of action, but I think that the Soul stuff comes in during the boss fights mostly, because the regular enemies are like super easy to kill so far. I haven't made a lot of progress in it yet, but I will say that the game doesn't feel super good to me right now. I did have to warm up to other games like Liza P and stuff like that. So maybe it just takes a little bit of time to get used to how the game feels, but it definitely has more of like that. Has a little bit of jankiness to it at times with the platforming and stuff like that. Because you use like a double jump feature, it just doesn't really feel great to me right now. But maybe I just need to get used to it. Like I said, I haven't gotten too far in it, but what I've played has been okay. I'm not gonna like praise it to high heavens right now because I'm really just kind of getting a feel for it. I'm really just starting out in the game. I've gotten past like the first couple of bosses now. It's just kind of been like, okay, it's been fine. It's a bit unique with its playstyle, but it's obviously very much like inspired by Bloodborne and stuff like that. You essentially have one of your arms. You have an axe in your hand. And you can use that for light and heavy attacks and parrying. And then you also have your gun as well, which just like Bloodborne, you can use the gun to essentially parry enemies by hitting them in the face and then staggering them when they're doing like a big build-up attack. So It shares some similarities with one of my favorite Souls games of all time, but it just doesn't feel as good as that game. And once again, I do need to play more of it before I really get into it. But I will say that it hasn't been like super gripping me like a few other Souls games that's come out already in the past couple maybe year or so. But I'm gonna keep trying. There's a lot of games that came out this past week, so I there's some that I didn't even get to, like that new Ketsugami game or whatever it's called, the one where you like defend against portals of demons or whatever. I still need to play that. And I chose to play Flintlock instead of that, which I'm kind of regretting because I was a little bit more interested in that other game. But I'm gonna try and get some more progress with it before next episode, and maybe I'll talk about it a little bit more. But as of right now, it's fine. It's not like really knocking my socks off. It's got a bit of a unique combat style, but it's not like super unique that I could be like I'm gonna be like praising it, you know. And yeah, I like the aesthetics too. It's got like all the characters have like this like I don't know, like Civil War era like style to them, but they're fighting like these like undead creatures and stuff. It's kind of a cool style, but it definitely feels a bit more double A than I was expecting, you know. But anyway, next up, and lastly for new games I played this past week, this one's going to be real quick. Break a Leg. This is a meme game that you can get on for free on Steam. It is, I guess, the story behind it is that it was made by one guy who essentially went onto Reddit and asked people what they want to see in a game. So essentially, it was a bunch of people just kind of like saying random things, and then he would put them into the game no matter what. So essentially, the goal of the game is to fall off of a roof and break your leg, which you can do in about 5 seconds. Other than that, you can also smoke meth, divorce your wife. You can find Cthulhu and feed him a baby. Yeah, it's kind of like really dumb and really bad. And I know that's just a meme game. I get it, but in terms of like funny game, like this game isn't really that. It's not really funny. It's not fun. It's also just kind of dumb. And I'm sorry, but that's just my honest opinion. I would not recommend to Break a Leg on Steam. Don't even play it out of curiosity. It's not anything at all. All right, let's talk about some games we've streamed. I'll go through these a little bit quickly since we're already almost at an hour here. Guacamelee 2, played this one, finished it this past week. I really enjoyed it. Not as good as the first game, but it was still very enjoyable. I felt like I mean, it was more of the same in terms of like Juan's gameplay. But I was really hoping for Juan to get more to his character, like more to his moveset. But really, you go through the game and you just reacquire the same moves that you had already from the first game, which is kind of disappointing for me because I really liked that first game. Like the original Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition is really, really good. I really enjoyed my time with that one. I gave it like an S tier back in the day, and this new one, like I was just hoping for a little bit more. I was just hoping for a bit more innovation with the character, a little bit more with the moveset. Sure, they add in a good amount of new enemy types and stuff like that, but really the main character you play as is Juan, and they didn't really do much to give him anything new to work with. But the chicken version of Juan did get some moves, which was nice. I found myself enjoying the new chicken parts. They gave it a like a diagonal upward cut and a downward kind of like slide as well, which I thought was fine. I like that idea to add in the new moves for the chicken, but I was hoping for more stuff with Juan because that's the guy you're going to be playing usually as Juan. The chicken is really fun to play as, but it's very weak. It doesn't have a lot going on. Whereas with Juan, it's like, yeah, this is where the entire moveset is. So why can't I get more unique or more moves with Juan? Why can't we change up his moveset? And maybe they'll do that with whenever Guacamelee 3 comes out, if Guacamelee 3 comes out, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. As it stands, though, it's not as good as the original game, but it's still really good, really fun. I like the story, I like the visuals, I like the music, I like all that stuff. So it's an A tier at least, but I was hoping for it to be another S tier, but unfortunately, it's an A tier, which is still really good, but I was just hoping for a little bit more with Juan. It just felt a little bit too samey in terms of combat for Guacamelee 1. And even though I'm not asking them to change the entire thing fully, I'm just asking for maybe a couple maybe a new move or two for my guy Juan, you know? We also played a game called Gargoyle's Quest. This is a Game Boy game. I was gonna say GBA, but it's a Game Boy game, Game Boy original. And this is on the NSO service, so you can check it out if you want to. I wasn't really into this one. It's like it's kind of like Ghouls and Goblins or Ghosts and Goblins, where it's a very painfully annoying game. It's not like difficult, but it's just annoying. But you're using a little gargoyle guy, and you can fly around, you can shoot fire and stuff like that. It feels okay, but I wasn't really into it. Um, I think maybe I was a bit too harsh with the rating for it, but I gave it a 2 out of 5. After playing a later game that we played, I might rethink that, but I'm gonna keep it at 2. It's fine. I thought that it was kind of annoying though. Like the boss fights were really annoying for some reason. Other than that, it was just kind of like about a lot of like repeating things. Like you repeat the same fights over and over and over again, repeat the same platforming. You know, not really too crazy about it. We also played Episode 1 Racer, or Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, whatever you want to call it, the pod racing game. This is a game that I played back in the day on the N64. I have a lot of good memories with this game, and I was really excited to play it again on the PS4. This big story behind Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is when me and my family took a road trip to Disney World. My dad he hooked up the N64 and a CRT TV, a little mini one, into the van, and me and my sister were able to play some video games on the way down to Florida. And this was one of the games that I brought with me, was Episode 1 Racer. And I remember playing it in the van and just having a blast, you know. And I think there is some footage of me playing the game, and you can like hear me crashing and dying like over and over again, because I wasn't great at the game when I was a kid. I didn't really understand it, but I was having a lot of fun. You know, I was having a lot of fun. And nowadays, I can really appreciate this game for all that it does. It's a very fun racing game. It's a very fast, high speed kind of game. The boosting system is pretty cool. You have to like hold up on the throttle for a couple seconds, then you can boost. There's also like, of course, the ability to like lose an engine on your pod racer and spin out of control and die, which of course I did a couple of times here, or crashing in general. There's a lot of different racers to choose from, and all of them kind of feel a little bit different. I tried out like 3 or 4 different racers, and I thought that they actually really did a good job of differentiating them, making their stats different enough. There's, of course, also the ability to buy extra parts from Watto and his junkyard, which is really fun as well, improving your racer as you go. I felt like you didn't get enough money, in my opinion. Like, I felt like I was getting like 0 money as I went through the game. Because after I bought a couple of upgrades, I was kind of broke for the rest of the game, which was unfortunate because I was really enjoying my time. I just wish that I could have earned a bit more money from these various races. And as you go through the game, you can also replay the levels and earn money again. But by the time that we were done with it, I did every single race, got first place in every single race. I was like, you know what, I'm satisfied. I'm good to go. But the tracks are also really cool too. Like, even though some of them have similarities to other tracks, they are all pretty unique, pretty unique, and they all kind of do something different. Tatooine itself is one of the coolest ones because the Mos Espa race goes from being like the most basic race track in existence in the first iteration. And when you do the finale for the game, you play Mos Espa again, and it's like actually like a really meticulously designed track that kind of follows more so like the movie, where like the Tusken Raiders will be shooting at you, or there's a that section with like the arching rocks and stuff that you got to fly through, and the caves to go through and stuff like that. So it's really cool how they kind of design the like base version of the track, like the easy version, and they just kind of like build upon that, or they just change it completely for the next iteration. It's very cool. And I think the best tracks were the bonus tracks. The hardest tracks, of course, were the bonus tracks, which is also a nice little thing to finish it off as well. So I definitely recommend Episode 1 Racer. It's an easy S tier for me. It's like a 4.5 out of 5. I just wish that the game had like an original soundtrack for it, because the music for Star Wars is obviously really good, don't get me wrong, but I felt like this game kind of needed its own vibe, its own soundtrack, that's similar to Phantom Menace, but not like copying Phantom Menace one for one. And then the last game that we played and finished this past week on stream was Syndicate. This is a PS3 era game. I showed off the cover and the case on the last part of the show, and I had a lot of I had high hopes for this one. The concept seemed pretty cool. The idea seemed pretty cool. It's one of those like gritty kind of PS3 slash Xbox 360 era games where the color palette's all like muted and brown and black and gray and blue, and it's one of those games that I thought that I was going to really enjoy because it seems pretty innovative. It seemed pretty cool, but in the end, it was just not great at all. I really did not have a good time with it at all. And even though like it started out kind of cool, it finished on like the worst note ever. And about halfway through the game, I started to really just have a lot of distaste for it. I thought that the game just was not what I was hoping for. And they pretty much cap you at 4 different special abilities, but the special abilities are pretty cool. You can backfire a person's gun by using your mind. You can backfire a gun and cause them to be stunned. You can have them not live themselves. I'll keep it PG. You can have them not live themselves. You can have them join your side and shoot enemies for you for a short amount of time. There's actually only 3, isn't there? Oh, yeah. There's only 3 special abilities. I was really hoping that they were gonna like really give you more to work with. I was really hoping that like okay, you would get like the backdraft and the other 2, and then they would keep like they would allow you to switch out the abilities to kind of cater your style, or cater the game to your style, and they didn't let you do that. It was kind of a disappointing thing. The upgrade system was also very tedious, very slow. Like it didn't like you could only upgrade after you killed a boss, and there's like only like a couple bosses in the entire game, so you really had to choose what you wanted. And even then, like the stuff didn't really seem to help me. Like I got there's the backfire, which affects 1 or 2 enemies in close proximity. I got the upgrade to it impacts 3 people who are in the close proximity. It didn't work half the time. Half the time it would only backfire the guy in the center that I aimed at, and the rest of them would be like, oh, that doesn't hurt me, that didn't affect me. So it got very annoying when, especially later in the game when the enemies are more difficult, where there was like a group of 3 or 4 enemies, and I would backfire the one guy, and the other guys who were pretty close to him didn't get affected by it. I thought it was pretty annoying at times. Everything else worked pretty well, but yeah, I mean, look, this is a Cyberpunk game, but it's not Cyberpunk 2077. I felt like Cyberpunk 2077 just really went all out with like you being able to kind of build your character the ways that you want to, right? Whereas this game is very much like you're gonna be this character and you're going down that alley, and whether you like it or not. And that was just kind of disappointing to me. And of course, this game was very disappointing back in the day for a lot of people who were fans of the Syndicate series, because as I was told in the chat by Callus and General Kenobi, 2 friends of the channel, they were talking about how Syndicate used to be like a strategy game. I think it was kind of similar to like an RTS or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. I didn't really look it up too much, but you know, Syndicate used to be like an RTS game, a long-running RTS game, and they changed it to an FPS game. And I'm saying, from an outside perspective, I'm not angry about the game not being a strategy game anymore. I'm more angry about the game just being dog shit. You know, I don't like bad games are the worst things to me, right? Like if I'm playing a game and it's mundane, boring, bad, unfair, etc., that really weighs on the experience, of course. And this one was no exception. Syndicate was just one of those games that I wish that I had never picked up and played, and for good reason. The game was annoying. It was boring. It was just all over the place in terms of themes, and the story was bad. And there were some cool guns in there to use, sure, and there was some cool abilities in there, but for the most part, I just really did not have a good time with it. And in the end, I gave it a D tier, or a 2 out of 5. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to what's in the news. Okay, first things first. We finally found out what Emio is, and I say finally like it was a little while to get to, but it really wasn't. It was about a week or so later from last episode that they told us what Emio was. So what started out as like this really cool mystery, like what is Emio? Is it the Blumhouse game that's coming to the Switch? Is it something new, an original IP from Nintendo? Blah 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 blah. I think that the trailer for Emio, that little teaser trailer, did too good of a job at like getting people talking, right? It was weird. It was different. Nintendo tweeted it out pretty cryptically, in all things considered. And what it ended up being was a new Famicom Detective Club game, which on its own is kind of cool, right? Like I'm not a fan of the Famicom Detective Club games, but for people who are fans of that series, that's kind of cool. That's kind of a cool thing to get. I'm sure that there's a lot of people who are excited for this, but for I would say, maybe not a vast majority, but there was a good amount of people who were like, "This is what we're getting," instead of like something that was cool. Obviously, a lot of people built things up in their heads, like a bunch of different theories, and obviously you're going to be disappointed if it's not exactly what you think it's going to be. But for people who are fans of the Famicom Detective Club, I think that they are very excited about this. It's a new game in a series that I don't think it's seen an entry in quite some time. And I know that they re-released the two games, like remastered. One of them was like in the U.S. for the first time ever. So that was cool and probably got some momentum going for the series. But now they're actually making a brand new Detective Club game, which is cool. I mean, on a base level, am I disappointed that we aren't getting like a new Eternal Darkness or something cool like a new first party horror game from Nintendo, or this isn't the Blumhouse game. I mean, the Blumhouse game is gonna come eventually, but that's the thing. Like, am I a little bit disappointed? Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed that it's not something cooler than the Famicom Detective Club game, but I am happy for fans of that series because it is one that hasn't really seen any love in quite some time, besides from the recent remasters. But this is going to be coming to Switch on August 29th. And in this little video that came up on Nintendo's YouTube channel, the director of the game came out and talked about it. His name is Yoshio Sakamoto. He came out and he talked about the game a little bit. They showed a little bit of like the game. Not really too much though, but I mean, it looks nice. The art is nice. I'm sure that the story is going to be pretty fun. But essentially, the main gist of the game is there's a serial killer who kills people, and then he puts like a paper bag over their head with a little smiling face on it, right? And he's a killer of urban legend who is said to place such a bag over people's heads. So you're an assistant private investigator. You were tasked with helping police solve the crime, which is reminiscent of a series of unsolved murders for over 18 years. The serial killer returns, or is it just a copycat of those older murders? Discover the answers to these questions and more as a member of the Itsugi Detective Agency. Explore an interactive drama full of interesting characters. Continue the adventures of the Academy or Agency with the return of familiar characters, including the returning protagonist from the other games named Ayumi Tachibana. And then he also continued to say that you will play as an investigative duo. You'll need to learn a lot about the personalities and backstories of other characters if you want to discover the truth, who was harmless, and who was keeping important secrets. Ask questions, reference your notes, and make connections. You'll have to order your thoughts and examine your leads carefully to draw the right conclusions. So, if you don't know what these games are, they are like a narrative adventure. There's not a lot of gameplay to them per se, but you make choices with words, and I believe there's also an aspect of like just kind of like searching around the screen trying to find clues and stuff like that. So the base game is going to be about $50, and the collector's edition is they haven't released a price for it, but the collector's edition is going to include an art book, a like an evidence bag with the paper bag with the smiley face on it inside. It looks like it's a physical soundtrack, and then also the game itself. So I think the collector's edition might not be too bad. But yeah, the game is coming August 29th if you want to check that out, and pre-orders are available now. There you go. And I know what you're saying. Oh, Yemmy, you should have talked about this in the next section. What's coming soon? But I felt like this was pretty big, like, news. A lot of people were talking about this, so just wanted to get that out there before we got there. All right, EA Sports College Football 25 has sold 2.2 million copies of the deluxe edition. This is actually pretty big news because this was the $100 early access edition. And I know what you're all thinking. How could they possibly sell this many deluxe editions of the game?
It's probably because this was very anticipated and people wanted to get their hands on it as quickly as possible, so they purchased the early access edition, which came out July 16th. The stupid thing is that, July 16th is actually the release date for the game. They just pushed back the full release because they wanted to get some extra bucks in their hands. It's a very dumb practice. I really hate that. And EA has been forging ahead with this like early access bullshit. It's just so annoying. They did it with Battlefield back in the day, and they're doing it with sports games and stuff nowadays. It's just so annoying. And I mean, this is not going to affect like my overall thoughts of the game. It just kind of affects my overall thoughts of EA because this is a very. I hate this practice so much. It's essentially just like paying to get early access. Or a couple days early access. I mean, what's that really going to do for you personally, other than if you're a person who reviews games or talks about games or whatever, you get it a little bit early. You have to pay a little bit extra to talk about it sooner. Maybe get some more clicks on your video, right? But it is interesting to note that it's sold. I mean, $100 times 2.2 million. Yeah, that's a lot of money that they got for this game, and I think that that's going to fund the next one. It's probably going to show them that, hey, there's an interest for these college football games. So I'm guessing this is pretty good evidence for the game is going to be now a yearly kind of thing, which I hope that they can keep up the quality. But I think the reason why this game is such high quality is because they had so much time to work on it. But hey, we'll see when what happens next year. So, yeah, there you go. I also forgot to mention this in my review, but they brought back the EA Sports, and I love that. But I don't love them doing deluxe editions where you get early access for the game. That's kind of annoying. All right, Black Ops 6. They have the multiplayer beta dates locked down. Essentially, it's going to take place 2 days after the Call of Duty first experience or whatever that is. It kind of like talks about the game, gets you ready for the multiplayer, gets you ready for the campaign. Essentially, the early access, if you pre-order the game, will be from October 30th to September 4th. And there's going to be an open beta on September 6th through September 9th on all platforms. You can experience the new Omni movement. Oh, boy. You can check out the brand new maps that were built by the studio. You can try out the new weapons. We can have custom loadouts or use their preset loadouts. There's new modes along with the classic modes, so you'll be able to play some of those new modes, I guess. And you'll be able to earn rewards for the actual game itself when it comes out, which is kind of nice too. So yeah, it's gonna be the multiplayer beta. The early access is going to be available for people who pre-order the game across all platforms, as well as Game Pass subscribers. So that's kind of cool. And then the open beta, of course, is going to be available for everyone. If you pre-order the game now, you can get a couple of things for the Vault Edition, including the Hunter vs. Hunters Operator Pack, 20 tier skips for the Black Cell Battle Pass. You can get a bunch of Gobblegum for the Zombies mode. You also get the Woods Operator Pack, where you can get 3 different skins for Woods for the Warzone mode. Of course, you get early access to the beta, and then you also get a couple of variants for your weapons, including the LR 7.62, the Jackal PDW, the Marine SP, the MAs 85, and the Combat Knife gets unique skins. I believe the game is going to be available on October 25th. Once again, the game is going to be available on Xbox Game Pass only for the Ultimate Tier people, so that that's the like high tier, like the highest tier for Xbox Game Pass. Me personally, I'll probably be playing this on Xbox Game Pass. I'm already paying for the Ultimate tier, so I might as well play Black Ops 6. But then again, I also like playing the game on PS5. I've always played the Call of Duty games on PlayStation, all the way back to like the PS3 days. Before that, of course, I played a little bit on Xbox 360, but I more so enjoyed my time with the PS3 version of the game, PS4 version, PS5 version. But I don't know if I'm willing to spend the top dollar just because I prefer playing it on a specific platform. I'll probably play the game on Xbox Game Pass, and I'll probably just be playing the campaign. I never really enjoyed playing Call of Duty games with a mouse and keyboard, but I could just pop in a controller, of course. But we'll see how I feel when it comes out on October 25th. The next Like a Dragon or Yakuza game is going to be revealed at the upcoming Tokyo Game Show this September. It's unknown which franchise or family the game is going to belong to, but at least we know that there is a new game going to be announced. This studio has released a game pretty consistently almost every single year. It's kind of crazy. I believe they've already released 2 games this year, though, right? The Man Who Erased His Name and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. It's kind of crazy how fast they can spit out these games. But apparently they're looking at another one that's going to be available now. Who knows if it's going to actually be like a full release next year, or if it's going to be like a remaster of an older game, kind of like they did with Like a Dragon Ishin. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. But they said that they will be revealing a new game or a game at the Tokyo Game Show. They said that fans will be surprised by it, which obviously will, of course, inflate the hype or whatever for the game. So we'll have to wait and see what that is in the future. Okay, so an ESRB rating for the new Legend of Zelda game, Echoes of Wisdom, was put out to the public, and what everyone is pointing to is apparently you can play as Link in this game. So in the ESRB rating, it says, as Link, players use a sword and arrows to defeat enemies. And I don't know if it's just like, okay, you start off the game as Link, and then when he gets captured, it's like, okay, now you switch over to Zelda. I don't know how that's going to work. That's what I feel like is going to happen. I don't think that opening like little cutscene or whatever they had for the reveal trailer is like the start of the game. I think that's like a little bit into it, because I feel like they want to start you off as Link and kind of have you play as Link for a little bit and then change it up on you. I don't know though. And maybe there's like a co-op mode as well. Maybe there's a co-op mode where one person plays as Zelda, one person plays as Link. That could be kind of fun too. We won't really know until the game comes out. It's possible that there's just a small section where you use the sword and bow to defeat enemies at the beginning of the game, like I said, but we will have to wait and see about that one. But it did spark a lot of speculation about the game. My favorite piece of speculation would be a co-op mode with both Zelda and Link. I think that'd be kind of cool to play as both of them. But once again, it's another wait and see type thing. All right, Ubisoft is under some heat, as usual, for Assassin's Creed Shadows. I didn't know this from last week, but they accidentally, or I don't know if it was accidentally, but they accidentally used a flag from a reenactment group instead of like an actual flag from the time period. So essentially, the reenactment group reached out to Ubisoft and said, "Hey, you can't use our flag for the game. One, it would be anachronistic because that flag didn't appear until the 1600s, while the game takes place in 1579. But also, this is our intellectual property. This is what we use for our group. I believe it's copyrighted or something in Japan as well for the reenactment group. So they had to remove the flag from. I guess they said that they weren't going to use the flag from this date moving forward. Whenever they got that notice, right? So essentially, they probably are going to be taking it out of the game itself. They probably aren't going to have it featured in any more trailers. But the other thing is that the concept art for the game actually includes some images with that flag's design in there, which is a part of the collector edition, which is a $280 collector's edition. So this art book has actually prompted some more scrutiny from the Sekigahara Teppo Tai reenactment group. They originally were just worried about the flag being in the game itself, but now they want them to try and remove the flag from this art book. I don't know why they need to do this. I mean, concept art is concept art. I don't know. It's not like official stuff that's, well, I guess it is in the game, but it's not like official stuff that's like, it's concept art. I feel like taking the flag out of the game itself is fine. I think it's going a bit too far to like take it out of the concept art. I mean, but they could always just cover it up with something. I don't know if they probably have already printed the books by now, so it's probably going to be impossible for them to do that. And they did say in their notice or their message to Ubisoft, like, hey, if you can, we would really appreciate it if you took this image out of the art book. I don't know. And even the image that they showed that had the flag in it was a very small, like, off to the side kind of thing. So it's it probably would be easy just to like mark it out or something like that, but I don't know if they're actually going to do that because, like I said, it possibly could be that the books are already printed and ready to go. What are they going to do? Put a sticker in every single book, or put a pen mark in every single book? I don't know if they'll be able to do that, but it is kind of crazy with how usually Ubisoft is pretty good at researching things, or at least the developers are pretty good at researching things. It's hard. I mean, it's kind of crazy that they have this anachronistic flag in there that didn't appear until several years after the events of the game. I mean, it's possible that the game goes from 1579 to the 1600s, but that's a pretty big time gap for these characters. I don't know if they would do that, but yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see for when the game officially comes out. But as of right now, it looks like they're going to need to either take the reenactment flag out of there or cover it up in the book. All right, Mortal Kombat 1 has revealed that the next DLC fighter is Takahashi, famously first appeared in Mortal Kombat X. I don't remember if he was in Mortal Kombat 11. I feel like he wasn't. I feel like they took him out of that game, or at least didn't have him as a fighter in that game. I actually don't remember, but he was a pretty fun character to use in Mortal Kombat X. He was trained by Scorpion, and he has like these IV swords that like retract and whatever. They're like whips or whatever, kind of like how Ivy is in like Soul Calibur. But he has two of them, one on each arm. He's a pretty cool character and concept. I think that they just kind of like Mortal Kombat X's story is just kind of like annoying. Like it's just not really a good story in Mortal Kombat X, but he was a cool character to add in. But he will be available for Combat Pack owners on the 23rd of July, and everyone else could download him on the 30th of July if you purchase him, of course. And his moveset looks pretty good. I was watching the little trailer with his moveset. I thought it looks pretty good. The one thing that really stood out to me was his fatality. I thought it was really cool. He essentially wraps his whips around the his whoever he's fighting, and he grinds them and then does it really fast and essentially splits their body apart in multiple pieces. It was pretty cool. It was a very enjoyable one. I think his fatalities in Mortal Kombat X were also pretty good too. And then also Farah is going to be a new cameo fighter for the game. Will be available on the 23rd of July for people who, of course, have the Combat Pack. If you don't know, Farah is also from Mortal Kombat X. She originally was called Farah Tor because there was two different characters technically that you're playing as, Farah and Tor. Tor was like this big ogre-like dude, and Farah was like this small, impish kind of goblin or child that rode his back and could attack as well. I liked Farah Tor as a concept. I thought that the character was pretty cool. I didn't expect to see them as like an actual playable character again, but having Farah in there is kind of a fun little nod to Mortal Kombat X. Mortal Kombat X had a pretty decent new lineup of new characters. It's just unfortunate that the story in that game was not as good, and the combat was fine. But I didn't like that Mortal Kombat X had like the 3 different versions of a character that were kind of limited. Each version was kind of limited. I feel like that was a misstep on their end, which is one of the reasons why I haven't really gone back to play it. But in the end, it's cool to see these characters come back, and I won't be playing as them, but I will be excited. I will be interested in watching someone else. All right, the Halo TV show has been canceled after 2 seasons by Paramount Plus. Xbox and Amblin Television and 343 Industries have been looking for another outlet to pick up the series for the 3rd season, but Paramount Plus doesn't want to be involved in it, even though they were like supportive of the idea. They don't want to be involved in it. They didn't. I mean, obviously, this show has been under some. I mean, look, it's Halo. It's going to be under a magnifying glass by the fan base, and yes, of course, the people who were watching this were fans of the game. I don't know what they were expecting, but a lot of fans for Halo did not like this series. Even though Season 2 had a bit more positive of a reception, it still was not up to the expectations of the fan base as a whole. In a press release, Paramount Plus said, "We are extremely proud of this ambitious series and would like to thank our partners at Xbox and 343 Industries and Emblem Television, along with showrunner and executive producer David Weiner." His fellow executive producers, the entire cast led by Pablo Schreiber as Master Chief, and the amazing crew for all their outstanding work. We wish everyone for the best going forward. So, yeah, back in 2022, this actually was the most watched premiere on Paramount Plus, which, I mean, is that really an accomplishment? I apologize to Paramount Plus, but is that really an accomplishment? I don't know. Yeah, it only lasted for 2 seasons. Like I said, the second season was a little bit better received, but it still wasn't like great. I haven't actually watched the series after the initial episode 1 for the series. But the entire season 1 is on YouTube, if I remember, for free. So I might check out just out of curiosity eventually down the road, maybe check out. And if they add season 2 onto there as well, probably would check that out too. But at this point, I'm not willing to buy Paramount Plus just for the Halo show or whatever else they have on there. Yeah, it's unfortunate that it was canceled, but I think the writing was on the wall. All right, The Precinct was delayed. So this is the kind of like like early GTA inspired kind of game. If you remember a game called The Rustler from a while ago, a couple years ago, it kind of has the same vibe as that, where it's like a top-down open world sandbox adventure. This time it's set in like the streets of like a bustling city, right? And essentially you play as like this police officer who, you just kind of investigate crimes, chase down suspects, arrest them, stuff like that. So instead of being released on the 15th of August, it's been pushed back to fall of 2024. So we don't know exactly when it's going to be coming out, but we do know it's going to be in fall sometime. On the Steam page, the developer said, "This additional time will allow us to fine-tune the gameplay, fix any remaining bugs, and provide the seamless gameplay experience that we set out to create when we first started working on The Precinct." So if you're excited for this, you're just going to have to wait a little bit longer for the game, but I'm guessing it's going to be worth the wait. It looks pretty. Xbox has teamed up with Deadpool and Wolverine for a new Xbox Series X console that is skinned out to look like the chest of Deadpool, along with a new controller. The controller is actually custom made for this Deadpool outing. Essentially, it's red. It has like the straps on it for Deadpool's like legs and stuff like that, and then it also has his buttocks on there. You can actually touch and feel the Xbox buttocks, the Xbox controller buttocks. I don't know how comfortable this controller is going to be to hold, but they have these two big lumps on the back for Deadpool's ass. I guess it's kind of a funny thing because the console itself is like his chest up to his head and up and down to his like waist, and then the controller is like his bottom half, right? So I guess it's kind of cool like in concept. I just don't know how it's going to feel in your hands when you play with the controller. The movie, of course, comes out July 26th, but this is actually a sweepstakes to get this Xbox and the controller. So whoever gets this is probably going to be sitting on a gold mine because this is a very customized controller, right? Like there's not much else you can say other than this is a very customized controller. You need to be 18 plus to enter, of course, and the sweepstakes will end on August 11th. So head over to Xbox's Twitter if you want to join in on the sweepstakes, and you might be able to play around with Deadpool's butt in the future. Microsoft then said, okay, my apologies. Microsoft then said that there will be 1,000 Xbox Elite Wireless 2 controllers cores that'll be on the store on July 22nd. You will get exclusive Cable Guy Deadpool controller holders in US and Canada only. So if you buy one of the 1,000 Xbox Elite Wireless Controller Series 2 core controllers that are coming out on July 22nd, which is tomorrow that I'm recording this, you will get a free Deadpool Cable Guy holder. Okay, so there you go. All right, also in other news for things you can buy, Nintendo has announced that they are putting out an official Joy-Con charging station in North America, Europe, and Japan. It'll be about $20-ish, $20-ish dollars. Essentially, this is it's a charging stand. What else do you want me to say? You click the Joy-Cons into it, and you plug it into your console, and it will charge the Joy-Cons when the console is, of course, in standby mode. Um, I'm not telling you this, but there are plenty of knockoff Switch Joy-Con charging stations that do more than just 2 Joy-Cons. There's one out there that does 4 at the same time. There's also ones that will that's kind of attached to your dock as well, which is kind of cool. But if you want an officially licensed charger, you can buy it on the 17th of October. Once again, it's just a charging station. It's not too crazy. It just has the Nintendo Switch logo on it. And once again, you can also go on Amazon and buy a charging station for up to 4 Joy-Cons for about the same price. So I don't know if this is actually going to be worth it or not, but let me know in the comments below if you want to buy this new charging station. Also in Nintendo news, Splatoon 3 is getting some new amiibos. There are going to be 2 new sets, each with 2 new figures, on September 5th to celebrate Splatoon 3's Grand Festival. The 2 sets are called the Side Order set with Pearl and Marina, and then the other one is called the Alterna set with Callie and Marie. There will be more details revealed in the future, but as of right now, you'll be able to pre-order or buy the new figures on the 13th of September. You can buy them on the Nintendo store, of course. And they're pretty good looking, I guess. I mean, most amiibos are pretty well detailed. Of course, if you get the earlier amiibos, they don't look as good, but these look pretty decent for what they are. Probably the best one is the Kala one, in terms of just like how it looks and how it's presented. But if you're a Splatoon fan, I'm sure you're gonna want to pick this up. These are pretty cool. I don't know what they do in the game themselves, but if you're a collectible kind of person and you like collecting amiibos, there's gonna be 2 new packs to buy in the near future. I don't think they had a price tag for it yet. At least I don't see a price tag yet. But here it is. It's about $30 for each of them. And the Pokemon Company is teaming up with Crocs again. This is the second time they teamed up. I believe the first time they had like Pikachu, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, stuff like that. And this time they have 4 different Pokemon. So these will be available for $70 each for the adult sizing. The kids range is probably going to be a little bit less, of course, but there isn't a precise release date for either the adult or the kid version yet, but we do see the designs and know the designs. So we have Gengar, which is like a purple, pinkish, blackish mix with a Gengar pin and psychic energy pin. You also have Snorlax, who has a Snorlax pin. The color scheme is like a blue, cyan, white-ish mix. You have the Charizard one with the Charizard pins. It's obviously like a yellow, orange, red kind of mix with the Charizard flames on either side. And then you have the Jigglypuff mix, which is like a pinkish, light pink, darker pink kind of look with Jigglypuff and a music note. Or actually, it's a clef key and a star. So if you're a person who loves Pokemon and you need some new Crocs, it might be cool to pick these up, I guess. I believe they'll be available in stores that have Crocs as well if you want to check those out, or you can buy them on the Crocs official website. But once again, there is no official release date for these yet, but we do know what they look like, and they look good for what they are. I'm not a huge Croc guy. I don't think I've really ever worn a Croc in my life. I mean, I've worn some, like I've worn a Croc here and there to walk outside. Because my other half has a pair of Crocs, but I'm not like I'm not going to be buying these, FYI. All right, let's move on to the final part of the show, which is what's coming soon. Okay, first up for today, Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection has been announced for both PC and Nintendo Switch. Right now, there's no release date. There's not even cover art for it, but we do know what the game is going to kind of include. It's going to include some of the classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Games from the handheld series, which is some games that were only released in Japan. Some games were released outside of Japan, of course, but we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 4, Battle of the Great Duelists, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 6, Expert 2. Duel Monsters 6 Expert 2 was was going to be released in the Japanese language only, which is kind of weird. But there will be more Yu-Gi-Oh games revealed in the future. Right now, those are the only 2 or 3 that we know about. So it sounds like there's going to be. I'm hoping that they put all of the Yu-Gi-Oh games from the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance era and stuff like that, because those are the games that I grew up with, and those are the games that I loved back in the day. I remember playing one of the ones on the Game Boy. I think it was like, I want to look it up because I don't want to get it wrong. Game Boy Color Yu-Gi-Oh games. This was it. Dark Duel Stories. I remember having this cartridge for my Game Boy, and I used that a lot. And for the longest time, there didn't seem to be a way to play any of these old Yu-Gi-Oh games. You either had to get like the GameCube Game Boy adapter, or emulate them, of course, or get the original hardware. But of course, I immediately went and bought this or pre-ordered it on Best Buy. I'm a big fan of the original Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm not into like the new stuff with like the XYZ summons and the all that crazy stuff that they do nowadays. But the original stuff is so fun. It's still fun to this day. I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, it's boring, blah 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 blah. I always had more fun with it, and even now, like watching people play like older style Yu-Gi-Oh duels on YouTube, like Team APS does it a lot. I just have a lot of fun watching that stuff. And even like bigger streamers like Ludwig had like a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament recently. So Yu-Gi-Oh is still pretty popular. Maybe it's more of a nostalgia thing, but I'm very excited for this. It's going to be $50. Like I said, there's a Switch version and there's going to be a Steam version coming. There's not really too much known about the game just yet, but we do know at least 2 of the games that are going to be included. One of them seems to be only Japanese, which is going to be kind of interesting, I suppose, but maybe we just don't have enough information on it just yet. But it was just revealed this past week. It was pretty. It was a pretty like. I mean, it wasn't even like a big reveal. It just kind of showed up, and I'm very excited though. Like I said, I already pre-ordered the game because I'm such a big fan of those old school Yu-Gi-Oh games, and I have a lot of nostalgia for that Game Boy Color game. I will definitely be playing this day one. All right, EA Sports FC 25 is coming in September. Of course, is another yearly series by EA. This time it's soccer or football, whatever you want to call it. This will be available on the 27th of September. You can opt in for either the standard or the Ultimate Edition of the game. If you buy the Ultimate Edition, just like with the Deluxe Edition of EA College Football, you'll be able to play it early on the 20th of September instead of the 27th. So you actually have a whole week of extra time with the game, which is, I mean, if you're a fan of the soccer or whatever, that's pretty tempting. But it is, the original, the regular version of the game is $70, but the Ultimate Edition is $150. That is a lot of money just to play the game 7 days early. Of course, it comes with some extra stuff, but still, that's a lot of money to pay for a week early access. But what can you get in the Ultimate Edition? Not only do you get early access to the game, but you get a untradeable Ultimate Team Hero player, an untradeable Ultimate Team player for FC 24 for some reason, up to 7-day early access, 4,600 FC coins, a player evolution slot, and early access rush rewards in football, Ultimate Team, and clubs. So there you go. If that's worth $150 to you, then go ahead and get that. You might be asking, who's the cover athlete for this one? The cover athlete is Jude Bellingham, who plays on Manchester City's football team, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really follow this, so please correct me if I'm wrong. This article says the boy from Birmingham has enjoyed a rapid rise to stardom, initially attracting attention at just 16 years old while playing for his boyhood club, before transitioning to Borussia Dortmund and finally the Spanish Giants. So maybe he's not from Manchester. He had an incredible debut year in La Liga, where he earned Player of the Season while winning the League Cup and prestigious Championship League. The cover image for the standard version of the game will capture his iconic celebration while he coolly soaks up the atmosphere following the last-minute winner in El Clásico. So he's going to be on the cover. The Ultimate Edition, he'll be joined by David Beckham, Zinedine Zidane, Gianluigi Buffon and Catalan football phenomenon Atana Bonmati. There you go. In a quote from Bellingham, he said, "I played the game with my brother all the time growing up, and I've always thought about how incredible it would be to one day be featured on the cover. There have been so many iconic players on the cover over the years. I'm so delighted to be the most recent English player to be just bestowed with the honor since 2011." Okay, I don't know how football really works, okay, but apparently he's from England. He was signed by Spain. Okay, I get it now, but I didn't get it at the beginning. All right, we are good to go. Let's move on. The casting of Frank Stone, a Dead by Daylight story or whatever they're calling the having the monkey be that got a release date of September 3rd, 2024, which is pretty close. The new trailer on PlayStation's YouTube channel is actually pretty cool. It's got like a old school grindhouse kind of movie feel to it. But the game itself is obviously going to be more tailored to like an Until Dawn or something like that. It seems like it's going to be kind of like a group of kids being hunted down by Frank Stone, of course. You can get the deluxe edition of the game that is going to have a Frank Stone mask cosmetic for the Trapper in the deluxe edition for Dead by Daylight itself. Actually, all this stuff is for Dead by Daylight. So Frank Stone badge and banner, 3 relic doll charms, a Murder Mill shirt cosmetic for the survivors, a Murder Mill badge and banner, and 2 million blood points. Ooh, boy. So, yeah, if you want to check out the game, it'll be available September 3rd for $40, or you can get the deluxe edition for $50, which isn't too bad of a price tag. All right, Splitgate 2 has been announced for 2025. So if you don't know what Splitgate is, it's a Halo-esque, Portal-inspired shooter, first-person shooter, where you have regular guns, but you also have a portal gun that you can use to kind of get the advantage on other players. You can shoot the portal at a wall and then shoot another portal at another wall and go through those portals to get a flanking route or whatever. So 1047 Games has announced that Splitgate 2, which is a sequel to the multiplayer game that came out a few years ago, will be coming out, I don't know when, but they said maybe within the next year, 2025. It's going to still be free to play. I don't know if they're going to be shutting down the original Splitgate game, but they might do that because this new one is coming out. So yeah, it's been confirmed for PS4, PS5, PC, Steam, Xbox. It's going to be launching sometime in 2025. The sequel is being built in Unreal Engine 5, and the team has said that they always dreamed of making a sequel to the game. After concluding work on the original game in 2022, the team built the follow-up from the ground up, including all new maps, weapons, characters, models, and more. So it looks like they also have a plan for maybe seasons of content in the future for the game as well, just like with the first game. Yeah, the little CG trailer was pretty good. I mean, obviously it's CG, so what can you really say about it, you know? But it is going to still be like a multiplayer first-person shooter with the little portals. Looks like they're adding some new weapons in there, but a lot of them also from the original game as well, like the rocket launcher and the assault rifle and stuff like that, sniper rifles and so on. If you want to get a feel for the game before it comes out, just play the original Splitgate. It's still active and it's still pretty fun to play. If you want to check that out, it's free to play too, so check it out. Overwatch 2 has announced that there's a new character coming out, and they will be playable next weekend. The new character is named Juno. She has a anti-gravity shoes, which kind of makes her running animation a little bit weird. She also has a jetpack on her back and a helmet, and her little gun is a burst fire weapon that also heals allies and damages enemies. She also has a secondary fire of pulsar torpedoes. You can lock on, then fire the homing projectiles. It'll also heal allies over time, which is kind of interesting. And then you also have the Orbital Ray ultimate ability, where you can call down a ray that travels forward, healing allies and increasing their damage. She also has some passive abilities like Glide Boost, where she can glide horizontally at increased movement speed. Hyper Ring, which will deploy a ring that increases movement speed for all allies that pass through it. And then also the Martian Overboots. While she's airborne, she can press jump to double jump and hold jump to hover. So if you want to check her out, she will be available soon in Overwatch 2. If you are still playing that, perhaps, you can check her out for free for a limited time between July 19th and July 21st. But she's going to officially be released soon. Yeah, if you want to check that character out, I believe she's already available now. Then, because I think this article is from last week. So yeah, on July 21st, you can play as her if you want to. So there you go. All right, a sequel to one of the most bizarre games from last year has been announced, and it's also already released. It's called Yeah, You Want to Play Those Games? So here you go. Now, let's see you clear them. 2. This is coming from a Japanese developer who was very annoyed with all the gaming ads that were on mobile games. And when you play those games, you don't actually play those games. You play different versions of those games, right? So like the game will feature like a character shooting something from a top-down perspective, but the gameplay will actually be like a match 4 or something like that. So they made an entire compilation of games again that feature the latest and greatest of mobile game scams. So essentially, you can play up to like, I don't know, there's like a bunch of little mini games in there. I don't know how many exactly. It is available right now in Steam, PlayStation, Xbox for $10 if you want to check it out. I'm wondering if they're going to do like a combo pack with the first and second game eventually down the road, because it is an interesting and funny concept. I mean, I mean, it's only $10 too, so it's like, what's really the? But then again, it's like, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a funny concept. It's interesting they did a sequel to it. But if you want to check this out, it's available right now. A spiritual successor to Chibi Robo has been announced called Co-Robo. This is coming from the studio Tiny Wonder Studio. They want to make a spiritual successor to the classic Chibi Robo series with some of the ex-developers from Skip Limited, which worked on the original project. The game is going to follow Co-Robo, a small robot, alongside his 10-year-old owner, Tom, who will be set within an urban jungle of New York City. When Tom receives a Co-Robo for his birthday, he is completely unaware of what the little robot is capable of. Soon enough, you'll be taking on the role of Co-Robo as you work to keep the house tidy, help out Tom with his homework, and defend the family against mysterious time-traveling enemies. This is going to be crowdfunded via Kickstarter. The project is going to drop on Kickstarter on the 22nd of July. So if you want to check that out or help fund the game, head over to there. The screenshots for the game and the little trailer for the game already look pretty good. If you've ever played Chibi Robo, I played Chibi Robo back in the day. It was on the GameCube. I had a lot of fun with that. It's pretty much the same concept where you're this little robot. You have a limited amount of time of charge, and you can do various odd tasks. And of course, the supernatural element comes in, or the sci-fi element comes in when the little robots from the future come in. On the Kickstarter, the director Kenshi Nishi said, "Our goal is to create a game that everyone can enjoy. So Co-Robo is intended to be cozy and comfy, and we hope that everyone will fall in love with it. The core of Co-Robo is all about bringing people together and working towards a better tomorrow, and the campaign, combined with your support, is a wonderful opportunity to bring fans of the video game closer together." So yeah, if you want to check this out, the Kickstarter is going to be available tomorrow as I'm recording this, and I'll probably talk about it a little bit more next week for the tiers and stuff like that. Maybe, we'll see. All right, Grapple Dogs Cosmic Canines has a release date. This is the sequel to a couple of years ago. Grapple Dog came out. I thought it was a pretty good game. And now there's a sequel coming out with like a Shadow kind of character along with the Sonic kind of character. The game is going to release on September 12th. So it's gotten a bit of a delay from August 15th to September 12th, but it's not too bad of a delay. Cosmic Canines expands on the charm of the first game, adding in a new companion, Luna, who has a gun and a bit of attitude. She can shoot enemies from afar and use her gun to grapple onto objects. In the press release, they said, featuring challenging platforming full of innovative twists and fresh abilities like fire dashing and magnetic grabs, Grapple Dogs Cosmic Canines allows players to propel themselves through a menagerie of breathtaking pixel art landscapes and exhilarating speed and control. The first game is pretty good. I think I gave it like a 4 out of 5, and I probably will be checking this out when it comes around because I did enjoy that first game a lot. It was a very interesting platformer. I'm sure this one's going to be just as interesting. All right, Crossy Road Castle is coming to Switch later this year and PlayStation, Xbox, and whatever. Crossy Road Castle is a new take on the Crossy Road formula. I do believe that there's still like a Crossy mode in there where you kind of cross a street or whatever. But this version of the game is like a 2D platformer where you climb up a tower instead of, or I mean, you can climb up a tower and then and there's also like side-scrolling elements as well. You collect coins and stuff for like different skins and stuff as well. Not much was revealed about the game other than it's a co-op, cross-platform, multiplayer arcade fun game. You can play solo or with up to 4 friends. You can play against or with your friends as well. Collect over 150 characters and customizations with hats and outfits. Play in seasonal challenges, unlock all the towers, and find secrets as well hidden in the levels. So this is going to come out sometime in 2024. Might be a bit of a fun adventure, maybe for a younger audience. But if you're a fan of Crossy Roads, this is the next step, the next evolution for the game. All right, here are some games leaving PlayStation Plus Extra tier. They are NBA 2K24, Need for Speed Unbound, Spellforce 3 Reforced, Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed, and Trials of Mana. All those games are going to leave by July 31st. So if you want to check out any of those games, make sure you play them before then. And then also here are 3 games that are leaving Xbox Game Pass at the end of July as well. We have A Short Hike, Train Simulator World 4, and Venba, which Venba was pretty good. I wasn't like super into it, but I gave it like a 3.5. I thought it was worth a playthrough at least. And A Short Hike is definitely a really fun game. I enjoyed that one a lot. Definitely check that one out before it leaves as well. Well, all right, it's that time again where we do the song of the week. If you know the name of the song and the game that's from, comment it in the comments down below on YouTube or in the Discord. If you comment on YouTube, I will give you a heart and a congratulations. And if you comment on the Fair 64 section on Discord, I will give you a super reaction. If you want to join the Discord, link is down in the description below. Let's hear this week's song right now. Once again, if you know the name of the song and the game that's from, let me know in the places that I said. I really appreciate anyone who has made it this far into this episode. I really do appreciate that. If you want to check out anything else I do, it's all at Yemmy the Ferret, whether it be on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, etc. I stream on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. Right now we're doing a bit of a special thing where we're doing a summer game backlog thing where I try and get as many games done as I can. So I added Wednesday streams in there for the summer months. If you would kindly, I would appreciate it if you liked the video, if you enjoyed, or give us a rating on Spotify. That actually helps out a lot as well with discoverability, and on Apple Podcasts. If you could leave a review, I would also appreciate that as well. If you don't want to, that's fine, but I would very much appreciate that. This is a weekly podcast. It's not always easy to make, but I'm trying to put my best foot forward with it every single week, and I appreciate everyone who listens and shares and likes and subscribes and all that good stuff. We're going to be starting Super Mario World on Monday. We'll see if we can finish it in one stream or not. If you know that I'm not a huge 2D Mario fan. Like, yeah, I like Mario Wonder, and I did enjoy the new Super Mario Bros. Games, or at least the Wii one. But I'm not a big 2D Mario fan, especially the earlier stuff. I feel like he's too slippery, too floaty, like all the stuff that really kind of annoys me a little bit. But we'll see how it goes. I've never really tried to play Super Mario World, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we'll be starting that on Monday. And other than that, I appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. I'm Ian the Fair, and I'm out of here. I'll talk at you next week. So long.
The Ferret 64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. The song Nightshade, used in the intro and outro, is owned by Adhesive Wombat. Small sound clips during the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. News sources include NintendoLife.com, PushSquare.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions video game related are my own. Thank you for listening.